because of Mike Marino's prosthetics, you are truly unrecognizable in this. I mean, if you look very closely, you can sort of see Colin Farrell in there, but otherwise, if you didn't know it was you, you would never know. And they're
No.
so realistic looking. All of the other actors have said, of course, it was so easy to forget that you were acting with Colin Farrell. But what was it like for you? What was it like acting inside of that makeup? What was the challenge, and also what was the advantage to having all of that around you?
I mean, the biggest challenge was just it wasn't getting the makeup on. The last few hours of every day, like by the 13th hour or so, or the 12th hour in the suit and the makeup, it got pretty intense.
It
Um,
was hot, I bet.
it was hot as
Mm.
balls, man. Yeah, and they had, but they looked after me. The first week or two, they had all the ACs turned on in the studio that we were shooting in the Bronx, and I think some of the crew, understandably, weren't too pleased, and I was making enemies rapidly, on the artificial streets of Gotham. But so then what they did, it wasn't fair on the crew, and I said, no, you can't have the crew coming in wearing as if they're off to an Arctic expedition, with gloves and scarves every day. That's not going to last. That can't happen. So what they did was they just got a tent. And they put three industrial air conditioners outside the tent and put the hoses into the tent. And they'd one chair in the middle of the tent. And I probably spent about 6 to 7 hours a day just sitting in the chair in the tent, staring into space, waiting to be told. And then I'd hear they were ready, and someone would zip the tent and say, they're ready for you, Oz. And I'd walk out onto the set, do the scene, and then I'd go straight back because the makeup would start to bubble as well at a certain point. So they were kind of the logistically tricky things, but they were far outweighed by the benefits. And the benefit was just complete immersion. I had never, I've worked closely with costume designers and makeup artists through the years for bits and pieces, and you always lean into the artistry of others. It's such a collective bringing a story to life. But I've never had such an exercise in absolute abandon as was in this. Like, as soon as it went on, I'd look in them. It was very weird. It was really powerful. Like, it was very, very powerful to be beneath all that. I had felt like I had certain complete license to just go wherever my instincts or my imagination allowed me to go. And I didn't look in the mirror too much and check out what expressions work or that, because the whatever material they used and however Mike designed it, it just always complementary to whatever I was feeling inside. I think if you not saying that the performance is subtle, but I think if you saw what I was doing beneath the makeup, I mean, it might have
Yeah, I
been
bet.
it might have been ham on the bone to the next level. I mean, there was I know there was a lot going on beneath it, but it all felt like it was, in conjunction with the kind of the grotesqueness and the violence and the kind of muscularity of what was designed in the script and for the character. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. I know there's quotes of me saying I was over it by the end. Sure. I
Sure.
was a little by after, and that was as much to do with as, I mean, going on a film or a TV show, it's kind of finite, what the end date is. So there is a kind of a natural, I think there should be a natural emptying of the tank as you go along the process. It was the same with Banshees, the same with every job I've done. By the time you reach the end of a gig, you should be, you should be wrecked. You should be wrecked and have to
Well,
go to
if you're
bed
not
for.
tired,
Yeah.
you haven't worked
You're
hard.
not tired.
But
Honest to God, you're not leaving it all in the ring, So by the end of this, but it was as much to do with the darkness of the material as
sure.
it was the actual makeup.
Yeah.
Like, it
But
was just
Colin, at the end of the day, would you like rip your face off like Mission Impossible?
at the end of the day, if it only came off that easily.
Oh, okay.
It was,
I
it
love
was,
the idea of you
it
just at
was,
the end of
yeah,
the
I
gig,
know.
rip
I
your face
know, I
off,
know,
throw it on
yeah.
the ground.
Yeah, and I'm Tom Cruise beneath. But no, the thing is, it took about 45 minutes to take it off, but it was like a
Wow.
rebirth. At the end of every day, getting it off, it never lost its magic. When that
Mm.
final piece would come off, oh my God, the relief. It was just like being born again every single day. It was beautiful.